Hello, everyone. My name is Shawn Carr, and I'm the Manager of Customer Experience for Hydro Ottawa Limited. I'd like to begin by thanking Bidgely for the opportunity to participate in this year's virtual Engage conference. This is my third year being part of this UtilityAI conference, and I certainly value the opportunity to hear from other industry leaders like you, as well as AI experts on what they're doing within their organizations to drive value. Many of you may have already heard our Chief Information and Technology Officer, Mark Fernandez, talk about the digitalization of Hydro Ottawa's customer experience and how that fits within our strategic direction. I'd like to build on that today and focus on a couple of very specific electricity conservation and demand management programs that we have underway that are leveraging AI and data in practice that wouldn't be possible without our partnership with Bidgely. Before I dive in and talk about some of the ways we are using analytics to inform new ways of doing business and drive better outcomes for CDM program participation, I'd like to share a few facts about our utility landscape, our home, and some of our accomplishments to date. Some of these points were already highlighted in Mark's presentation, and so I apologize if you're hearing this for a second time. So we are located in Ottawa, Ontario, which is the capital city of Canada. We are about 450 kilometers northeast of Toronto, and we have a metro population of about 1.3 million people. Hydro Ottawa serves about 340,000 customers, and we are the third largest municipally owned utility in Ontario. Now, there are currently approximately 60 different local distribution companies operating across the province of Ontario that deliver electricity to more than 5 million residential, business, industrial, and institutional customers across the province. We are regulated by the Ontario Energy Board, meaning they regulate our activities and define performance standards of Ontario's LDCs. Some of the accomplishments to highlight for context are: we've had 100% smart meter deployment for about 10 years now. That has given us a head start in terms of being able to maximize the value of meter data to drive better outcomes for everything from marketing, to programs and services to grid planning. We have 100% time of use billing in place for residential customers, but we are also working towards a November 1st launch of rate optionality across the province, which will provide customers with choice between time of use rates and tiered rates. We currently have 62% My Account penetration. My Account is one of our core web services that helps customers manage their account, ranging from balances to payment history to electricity usage. We have 53% e-bill penetration with residential customers, and 12% of our customers use our mobile app. So there's some stickiness there with that technology channel as well. What I do want to highlight is that customer value is at the center of our strategic direction, and we've developed a comprehensive customer experience strategy. There are 5 key areas we are working on currently that define our customer experience. We recognize that for many of us, the utility landscape's changing, and it's changing really fast, whether it's policymakers, regulators, competition, or technology advancements in home and business automation. These changes put revenues and margins at risk, and as such, if we want to be positioned to take advantage of the opportunities imposed by these changes, then we have to position ourselves with customers in a way that allows us to embrace future challenges as well as opportunities. So in terms of our customer experience strategy, I would say that overall, we are making good progress in terms of taking customer experience to the next level. But we still have a lot of work to do to move from good to great. As a utility, though, we're fortunate in that we aren't afraid to take some chances, to pilot new ideas, and to explore new ways of doing business. This has enabled us to lead or at least get a head start on some things. Our partnership with Bidgely is a perfect example of how we continue to evolve and improve the customer experience, using data and improving our touch points with the customer by enhancing our web and mobile channels. In fact, our relationship with Bidgely has evolved in a very similar way to our customer experience journey. It started in 2016 with a very deliberate objective. We had provincial conservation and demand management funding to test drive a social benchmarking program that was designed to change the behavior of our customers, leading to changes in energy consumption. Bidgely's web service, mobile app, and electronic home energy reports were the tools we used to engage with customers. We launched in 2017, and unfortunately, 2 years later, provincial policy around conservation changed substantially, and the funding stopped for our social benchmarking program before we were fully able to understand and measure the impact that these tools had on reducing peak demand and energy consumption within our residential customer segment. At that point, though, it didn't matter because we were engaging with customers in a completely different way through these channels. Their expectations for choice, convenience, responsiveness were already growing, and there was stickiness with the mobile experience across the segment of our customers. We were already starting to ask our customers how we could further improve the mobile and web experience available to them to inform future changes that we want to make. We added an outage map early on to our app, and customers can report outages through the app or My Account channels. We have rate optionality being integrated over the next 3 months on those channels, and we have 2 CDM pilot programs underway that I'll speak to in a moment. Over the next few months, we'll be rolling out an enhanced mobile and web experience. We're moving towards an online marketplace in 2021 that will proactively introduce customers to energy products and services, and we'll continue to explore how we can deliver a more personalized experience through these channels. So let's talk about how we've been using data to understand our customer a bit better and to explore new approaches to delivering conservation programs. Prior to 2019, the province of Ontario was making significant investments in LDC-led conservation programs. There were over a dozen CDM programs serving all customer classes province-wide that offered incentives for reducing electricity consumption and/or peak demand. These programs were typically LDC delivered, had long timelines to be in market, on average 6 years, and enabled LDCs to forge strong relationships with customers, particularly amongst business customers. In 2019, however, change in policy led to centralized delivery of programs and cancellation of many programs in an effort to save costs. A minimal amount of funding was allocated to LDCs to pursue local programs that either addressed a system need or a customer need supported by a strong business case. This led to Hydro Ottawa recently launching 2 new programs in a very different landscape. The key differences were these new programs were local and targeted. One program targeted homes located in a specific area of our grid, which was identified as constrained due to rapid growth. And the other program was targeting residential homes known to have a very specific technology. Instead of having programs in market for multiple years to build awareness and encourage participation, as has been the case in the past, these 2 programs were only given approximately 15 months and 7 months, respectively, to achieve participation targets. Both programs were approved with limited budgets, allowing for only minimal resources to be assigned to program delivery. Program design, business case development, and contracting with our system operator responsible for these funds were effectively finished before the pandemic arrived. Outreach was going to originally involve some face-to-face marketing, door-to-door canvassing, as well as in-store promotion. These tactics are no longer viable because of the pandemic. In addition, summer students were to be used to support outreach, but unfortunately, our summer student program was also impacted by the pandemic, leading to less resource capacity. So several of these barriers led us to pursue an AI-driven strategy with Bidgely to try and reach our target customers faster and more cost-effectively for these 2 programs. The first program I'm going to talk about is a pool pump program. It provides customers with a $400 incentive to replace a constant speed pool pump with a variable speed one. This type of pump uses electricity only when it's needed and delivers pool owners with up to 90% reduction in their pool electricity consumption. It's available to all customers in our territory. Our target is 1,000 participants. We only have 1 pool season, less than 4 months, to make a splash, pardon the pun, and traditional marketing methods are risky simply because most of our audience doesn't have a pool. As a utility, we're also very sensitive to how many touch points we have with customers. And we're also concerned about promoting a program that isn't applicable to most customers and also helps a customer segment that may not need financial assistance. So what we did is we targeted marketing efforts at homeowners with pools and at pool vendors who work directly with customers. Traditionally, with programs like this one, we would only promote the program to pool vendors, and pool vendors would in turn promote the program to prospective customers. And so we worked with Bidgely to identify which Hydro Ottawa customers had self-declared owning a pool as part of their home profile. And as well, using smart meter data, Bidgely was able to use their disaggregation algorithms to identify customers with single-speed pumps. My understanding is that pool pumps are one of the easier technologies to identify out of an energy use profile because they are seasonal and they also consume a lot of energy. So what this approach allowed us to do is pinpoint which customers have pools and would be eligible for program participation by switching to a variable speed pump through our program. We then issued a targeted email to those customers based on a list created by those data insights. The email went out to 3,500 customers. We're also tracking marketing effectiveness. For example, our open rates on the 2 email campaigns we have issued so far for this program have been higher than what we typically see. Over 60% open rate with a 10% click-through rate. There are also other LDCs offering this program in Ontario. So following program completion, we'll be able to compare performance across LDCs that use different outreach tactics. The lessons learned from this pilot will help inform how we go about designing and implementing programs for the future. Now, we are currently about 3/4 the way through the current pool season and have achieved 40% of our overall participation target so far. We do expect to be well above 50% by the time this pool season finishes. And given that we only had 1 pool season instead of 2 with the program in market, this will be seen as a success given some of the constraints that we actually have right now. We also have another program that I'd like to talk about, and it's actually a smart thermostat program. This is a collaboration with our local gas utility that offers a participating customer an additional incentive to what the gas utility is actually offering. The stacked incentive can cover up to 100% of the smart thermostat cost. What makes this program so unique is it's only available to customers that live in a specific area in which we need to create short-term capacity to allow for extensive growth that is happening in this community. We are attempting to use conservation to defer large capital infrastructure upgrades at impacted substations into the future. There are almost 26,000 eligible customers in the affected area, and we have email addresses for about 19,000 of them. Our participation target is 8,000 customers. The program was supposed to be in market around this time last year, but contracting delays following by the pandemic led to a June 2020 launch. So we have less than 7 months to achieve target. So to help with that, again, we worked with Bidgely to create a targeted customer list, and we ranked eligible customers by their cooling potential. Without getting into too many details on the mad science that was used, what we did do was look at both the home profile data and demographic data for those customers. And we clustered users with similar dwelling types, for example, single family homes and nearby zip codes together. Their cooling consumption was analyzed along with the patterns, and these customers were actually assigned an efficiency rating. This was used to rank customers based on their consumption profile and prioritize which customers had the highest AC savings potential by switching to a smart thermostat. We also ruled out customers where there wasn't enough data available. Now, having insights into each unique customer's energy savings potential will also enable us in the future to actually compare the predicted electricity consumption reduction associated with participation in our program with the measured savings attributed through an evaluation, measurement, and verification process that will be completed after the program is done by our funding agent. We issued our first smart thermostat email campaign to eligible customers in the affected area in June 2020. And again, we received a 57% open rate and 10% click-through rate. We've had about 500 participants sign up for the program through the first 60 days of launching the program. By comparison, the gas utility had about 60 participants over the same period last year prior to our collaboration with them. And so we're seeing some pretty good results on a month-over-month basis now that the collaboration is in place. We are also doing some telephone outreach, starting with customers that have the highest cooling savings potential. We have just started this and don't have insights yet, as it's too soon for me to share results with you. That said, there are so many different ways the data can be leveraged. For example, if we did pursue a door-to-door strategy on our thermostat program, we could have clustered our door-to-door activities in areas that have more customers with high AC consumption profiles, for example. So we are still very much in the middle of delivering both of these programs. But if I was going to share some lessons learned from our experiences so far, I'd say that we're definitely seeing that using data to target customers is driving higher open rates on our email campaigns. Now, whether the customer perceives value or not will actually determine whether they choose to participate or not. Another insight we've seen so far with the thermostat program is that although Bidgley was able to tell us which eligible customers have the highest cooling load, there doesn't seem to be a correlation so far between how much cooling they use and whether they participate or not. That said, the issue there may simply be our messaging. We're not personalizing our emails yet to tell customers what they would actually save with a smart thermostat. That's next on our list to pilot with a small cohort of eligible customers. So the real question I think we want to answer is, will the results look different if we tell each customer how much they can actually save by moving to a smart thermostat? Is it $100 annually for me and only $50 for my neighbor? We hope to segment our list further and experiment with some personalized messaging to see if the outcomes change at all. We're also going to test some direct mailers as well. This is traditionally an expensive form of outreach for us, but if we are only sending the mailer to customers who have the highest savings potential and or don't have an email address, and they are motivated to reduce their energy costs, then using that customer data and the energy insights we have from it may actually drive better outcomes for our programs. And with any pilot, we're going to learn from it. We're going to make adjustments to our strategy the next time. So in conclusion, the next 6 months are exciting times as we continue on our customer experience journey in an effort to move the yardsticks forward and provide customers the choice, convenience, and responsiveness they expect from us, while making new products and services available to them. We have an online marketplace coming in 2021, choice on rate plans coming in late October, and a suite of personalized alerts that will turn on to influence customer behavior on energy use. We will continue to use the data we have to inform our decision-making around customer messaging and future programming around energy efficiency initiatives. This in turn will enable us to be more strategic, improve the customer experience, and continue to drive customer value. Thank you very much.